Hello, everybody. My name is Carol Lake with Total Wellness Coach, and today I am here with Steve Manns, and he is with the Wellness Warrior. And today we're going to be talking about our bodies, our brain health, especially how much water we drink. But we also want to touch base about Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, and what caregivers have to do just to keep themselves healthy and vibrant while they're dealing with somebody with these issues. Because let's face it, we're all getting old or older. Not me. I'm sticking to 29. That's what I'm doing. So Steve, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Yeah, thanks a lot. This will be a great conversation. I don't think a lot of people think about hydration very much
Mm-mm.
in their everyday lives, and especially with Parkinson's and dementia, there's a lot of things that go along with taking medications for one and hydration. We can get into that a little bit more later, but
Yeah.
that's I don't know if doctors talk about that at all.
I don't think they do. I mean, at this point, I don't think I've ever had a doctor say, "Are you drinking plenty of water in a day?" And
Right,
most people don't realize your brain is about 75% water. And a lot
right,
of us dehydrate ourselves because we wake up first thing in the morning and we're sluggish, we're tired. So what do? We, instead of grabbing 16 ounces of water, we start chugging coffee. And you know what coffee does to your body?
that's right.
It dehydrates you.
Exactly.
So we have to drink lots and lots of water for our brain health, which has the studies have proven that it does help with brain fog, appetite, as a suppressant because you're flooding your
Right.
cells with what you need. So, how else would you elaborate on that? With drinking water, what would you tell your clients? If that's the first thing they come in, what would you say to your clients?
So, first of all, you mentioned that, the first thing that we do is get up, go to the bathroom,
Hmm.
and drink a diuretic, basically.
Yeah.
Another thing that happens overnight is that we're constantly breathing. At least I
Hmm.
hope so, right?
I hope so too.
Every time we exhale, there's water that comes out of our body, too. So, think about like if you ever spent the night in a tent and you
Hmm.
got up and the inside of the tent is just drenched. That's from all of our liquids that we respire.
Okay.
So, you know, that's just a concrete example of, we are losing water, not only when we go to the bathroom and when we have our diuretics in the morning, but
Hmm.
as we breathe all night long. So getting that hydration, right off the get-go in the morning is super important.
Nice. Yeah, and that's most that a lot of people I don't think realize that. Your body goes into rest and repair as you're sleeping. So you definitely want to be hydrated, just because it's gonna fuel the cells. It's gonna help nourish the joints, the ligaments in our body as we're sleeping. And then
Yeah,
hopefully because you're not too dehydrated, it's gonna help with your sleep. And a lot of
right.
people don't realize that, also.
Yeah, it's connected to so many different things and, our overall health, but also our mobility and our
Mhm.
stability. And
Mhm.
we can talk a little bit more later, but, you know, that orthostatic drop in, blood pressure when
Mhm.
people stand up too quickly or they think they
Mhm.
stand up too quickly, that's from low blood volume.
Right.
And the one of the ways to keep that blood volume steady or more steady is to be properly hydrated.
Mhm.
So, that increases dizziness, that increases the risk of falling. We've talked
Mhm.
about that before. And yeah, that hydration plays into all of those things.
So a lot of people, what I get when I start coaching somebody new, they don't know how much water to drink. So, as my rule of thumb, I tell people, let's take your weight and divide it in half. And that number is in ounces of water that you should be drinking daily or more. So, what would you tell your clients?
So I would tell them probably the exact same things,
Hmm.
but sometimes we can say that out loud, but
Hmm.
in practice, sometimes it looks a little bit different.
Hmm.
So we talked about getting up in the morning. Um, it's recommended that people that have Parkinson's, and I'm sure this is across the board with anybody that takes any type of medicine, get a full glass of water when you take your medicine.
Mm-hmm.
because, if your intestines are all backed up, then that medicine's not going to move through your system and get absorbed when it's supposed to get absorbed, or
Mm-hmm.
and not be as effective if you're backed up. So having that fluid in there gets things moving along. It lets that medicine be more effective as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
So, some people are taking medications 4 times a day with Parkinson's. So if you get a glass of water each of those times,
Mm-hmm.
then you're well on your way to get that amount of water that you need every day. And a lot of people, this water thing, consistent water thing is a struggle. So helping them get through like little tiny phases of that, drink your water
Mm-hmm.
during your medication and just sip on some water all during the day.
Mm-hmm.
When I teach class with, with people and have clients with Parkinson's, I make them drink water as we go through.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they're like out of breath and like super
Right.
thirsty, but just those little sips of water to get them used to, you know, pacing themselves to get that water intake as they go through the day.
That's kind of interesting you said that, because with Alzheimer's and dementia, that's proven that that's a cause. Like, it could be preventable if people are drinking or they're hydrating their bodies.
Okay.
So when I do speak to clients and even the caregivers of people who, are dealing with loved ones that have dementia, the Alzheimer's, or even the Parkinson's, is that we want to drink clean water. I'm so about clean water today, having a proper filter, because we don't want to take more chemicals in that are
Right.
causing damage to our brains, our brain health. So that's the first thing that I'm going to highly stress to anybody is, if you're going to be chugging the water now, let's get a great filter so that it's blocking all the chemicals that are in tap water, especially fluoride. People don't realize how toxic fluoride is to our bodies.
Right.
Um, the other thing is that a lot of clients will say, "Well, wait, I'm drinking coffee. I might have soda or pop, depending on who's watching this and where. I'm drinking Kool-Aid," and I have to reiterate, okay, yes, you are taking liquids, but that's not water. We want clean water, because
Right.
everything else that you're consuming has other chemicals added to it. So if you're drinking a sports drink, no, it's not going to work. So yeah, if they're telling me they're drinking coconut water, then I'm happy. you know,
Right.
so coffee, no, the pop, no, no Kool-Aid. Let's
Right.
go for the water.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing people don't realize is fruit juice is,
Mm,
not the best either, just because it comes with such a high load of sugar.
yeah.
So, what I tell them about that, and I know this is kind of like going off topic a little bit, but, don't drink your fruit.
Yeah.
Eat your
Yeah.
fruit. Don't drink your fruit.
Yeah,
Because when
exactly.
you eat your fruit, then you're getting the fiber that comes with it, and that'll slow down
Hmm.
the intake of sugar as well.
Hmm.
So, um, I don't have an affinity for fruit for some reason. I just don't eat a lot of it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love my fruit. I'm like a big fruit eater. Vegetables, lean, clean, and green. So lots of veggies, lots of fruit. Do drink my water. Now, I have to admit, I do drink some coffee in the morning. It could be
Right.
decaf, it could be regular, because again, coffee's proven in the right amount. Again, brain health. It is good for your brain, helping you with neuroplasticity, because neuroplasticity is all about change and adapting and being on top of everything. So a little bit can go a long way. We just don't want to overdo coffee or anything that is like a stimulant that's going to actually act as a diuretic and actually removing the water from your system. So I tell people, that's great, you can have a cup or two, everybody loves their Joe, but replace it with water. So if you drink 2 cups of coffee, please drink 2 cups of water,
Yeah.
when your body's ready for it, so to replace what you're losing. So
The other thing with that, not only is it a diuretic, but that caffeine is a half life too. So if you're, and it depends on how your body processes it. Some
mhm.
people are fast caffeine metabolizers, and some are slow. but think of a half life of caffeine as maybe 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a cup of coffee at noon and it has 100 milligrams of caffeine in it, so after 8 hours, so we're at 8 o'clock already, and we still
Mm-hmm.
have 50 milligrams of caffeine in our body. So, you know, people with Parkinson's that I've dealt with have problems with their sleep already,
Mm-hmm.
and having an additional caffeine in their system can further inhibit their sleep.
Yeah. Yep.
So the
And
timing of
that's,
that caffeine is super important.
yeah, that's what I tell people. I prefer drink the caffeine, the coffee in the morning, so that
Yeah.
it wears off as the day goes on. The other thing I did want to talk to you about is the caregiving part. So, you work with a lot of Parkinson's patients and the loved ones that are taking care of them, as do I work with people who, their loved ones have Alzheimer's and dementia. And they're doing so much to support their loved ones. I always tell them we need to give them self love. So, what would you be offering for people in that situation? Because, I mean, let's face it, people are living longer and longer. And unfortunately, dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, it's on the rise.
Right.
And again, that's why you do what you do. I'm doing what I'm doing because we want to prevent. We want to be able to be sharp as a tack when we're in our 70s, 80s, 90s, 100.
Right.
So, for the people who are taking care of those loved ones, what do you share? What words of advice, wisdom would you share with them?
So, you know, I talked to my mom about this as well. My
Mm-hmm.
dad does not have dementia or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, but having, and this has been a struggle, but I'm getting through. It's hard, if not impossible, to coach family members, so I don't do it very often. But for this particular thing, it's like I've been trying to have her think about like her alone time or her
Mm-hmm.
time where she has just to herself. So, and when you're hyper vigilant with a family member that
Mm-hmm.
has one of these things, it's so important that you get your time away from that particular situation, whether that is, um, and obviously you're going to gauge it, you know, depending on how far along down the road the disease has progressed. But,
Mm-hmm.
can you leave them alone for a half hour and, go take a walk for yourself at minimum?
Mm-hmm.
Can you have somebody come over and, have a half day to yourself where you can, you know, be outside or get your nails done or, get some exercise or whatever that looks like for that person. But there's definitely a lot in the self care silo that
Mm-hmm.
I think we lose sight of when we are really taking care of somebody that has been and still is very important to us in our lives.
I can relate, and not many people know this about me, is that my mom is in dementia. And I probably say I can't even call it earlier stages of dementia right now. And so this is why I'm promoting brain health, because I watched my mother's mom go through it. And when that happened, I was young. And I equated to, oh wow, she's old,
Right.
And now that I'm older, and my mom is a beautiful 91 years old,
Wow, that's
I am
awesome.
watching her now, and it's upsetting and it's scary because I keep sitting back going, can that be me in 30 years? So I'm taking the preventative steps, but I'm also doing things to help my mother with,
Right.
meditation, doing certain songs with tapping the fingers, the deep breathing. You have to stay active. So with Alzheimer's and dementia, the one thing that they really equated it to is it's not doing the crossword puzzles and reading books. That's great. You need aerobic exercise.
Right.
So I tell people that are in my situation, like I'm with my mom, take your family member, if they're able to, outside and walk. walk with them, have them point to trees, to have them talk about what memories they can pull, and then try to make more memories as they're doing the walk. Oh, feel the sunshine on my face. Does the breeze feel great? Change things up. That's how you create those neurons in the brain so that it's changing and it's helping them to stay focused in what they're doing.
Right.
Some people can't. They're in wheelchairs. I have them use the wheelchair, around a facility, just so
Right.
that they're at least getting outside and doing things that they enjoy. Is there anything that you would do for like Parkinson's with exercise or diet and to help the caregivers?
As far as exercise goes, I have a program that I work with people with Parkinson's because
Mhm.
the more exercise it seems that people with Parkinson's do, the further they can delay their symptoms.
Correct.
So, and again, it is so different. Everybody is like N equals one is how I explain it. Like everybody's their own experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So, what does that look like for somebody? It could mean you're more mobile for 5 more years or one more
Yeah.
year. And it, depending on how things, progress. But as far as the
Mm-hmm.
caregivers go, I talk about, their social connection
Mm-hmm.
to the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that means like they're in a community support group. Maybe they're
Yeah.
in like some bridge group somewhere or some hiking group
Mm-hmm.
that's totally
Euchre.
not related.
Yeah.
Nature connection is big for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting out in nature. I feel like we've been in nature for 2 million years. If you, believe that we've evolved that long, and we've been connected to nature for
Mm-hmm.
99.99999% of our whole existence as humans, and it's only been this small little time where we've been stuck in these little boxes. So we need to
Mm-hmm.
be out there, looking, like you said, looking at the trees and
Yeah.
the
Oh,
birds and
grounding.
whatever.
Grounding's so important too. I'm so into, having everybody ground. Take your shoes off. Put your toes and your feet, into
Yeah.
the grass. Feel the dirt,
Right. Right.
because the earth energy is just so vibrant and it helps the body. People
Right.
just don't they're being so accustomed to putting shoes on their feet now.
Yeah. I
Take
just
your
did a
shoes
video
off.
of that yesterday. Funny that you say that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if it wasn't so cold here in Cleveland right now, my toes would be outside in the grass at this point. You can't do that. It's really cold. So yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, but
agree with
also
you.
like their nutrition
Yeah.
and their exercise and how they manage stress, is
Mm-hmm.
super important because when you're a caregiver, you have a lot of stress
Mm-hmm.
because you need the strength for two basically in a lot of cases, and getting your exercise, proper nutrition, and
Mm-hmm.
sleep super important. All of those things. Some
Mm-hmm.
people do the exercise and then they don't do all the rest, but you know
Mm-hmm.
if you want to be the person that is going to be there for them and there for yourself, then
Mm-hmm.
you need to take all of these things seriously for yourself.
Wonderful. That's great advice. I mean, wonderful advice. So if somebody wants to reach out to you, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can excuse me, they can email me. I'm at steve@wellnesswarrior.coach. um, I don't have any problem with people texting me. I can leave the number here if you want to, and
Mhm.
yeah.
We could put it in the
Yeah.
afterwards below, so if anybody wants to reach
Right.
out, they can.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely go. I encourage people to come. Your website is the Wellness Warrior.
Yeah, wellnesswarrior.coach. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so that they can visit you there. You are a wealth of information, and you do have some really amazing credentials. Tell the people about your credentials.
Um, well, I'm going to preface this by I I do a lot of things. So I'm a national board certified health and wellness coach.
Mhm.
Same board that certifies doctors. It made the test for health and wellness coaches. I'm a Parkinson's wellness and recovery instructor. So I help people with Parkinson's with their exercise specifically. Um, and since I'm a health coach, I can help with all the other things too.
Mhm.
I'm a Spartan coach.
Mhm.
So I get people ready for Spartan races, which are obstacle course races. I'm a heroic coach as well, so that's kind of like it's kind of like everything and mindset and stuff like that. And I'm a personal trainer as well. So,
Yeah, like I said, you're a wealth of information. I believe you have what, your master's in sports education,
oh
and
yeah, yeah. Always
yeah,
forget about that. Yeah, I have a
yeah,
master's in exercise science and health
exercise
development.
science. So yeah, you're definitely the person that people can go to for information, and especially with Parkinson's, because I know that's something that you focus your career with, helping people. I am focusing my career helping with the Alzheimer's and the dementia. So, together, I believe you and I we're very passionate about what we do, and we want to share our wealth, our knowledge, because this is firsthand for me as somebody who's living it with their mom right now. And I definitely want to see my mom on this earth for many more years, sustaining where her memory is now, not getting worse. And
Right.
that's my focus right now with her. So, and if anybody out there wants to reach out to me, I will be happy to talk to you about this and my programs. You can reach me at you go to my website, totalwellness.coach, or you can reach me at Carol Lake, TWC for Total Wellness Coach, at gmail.com. And we will both be happy to help and do whatever we can to assist you or somebody that you love on their journey towards health and well being. So, all right. Well, it was a pleasure to be
Yeah,
speaking
that
to
was
you today.
great.
We are going to be doing a lot more segments together, just everybody out there, just so you know, because Steve and I are teaming up because we're extremely passionate about what we do and how we're helping people. And yeah, come join us on this journey because we want you to be strong and vibrant. As I always say, I want you to be vibrant, not vintage.
That's great. I like to say, if you need some enthusiasm, you can steal some of mine.
There you go. That's perfect. All right, until next time, everybody, take care, be well.